So our chief guest for the day, he is Mr. Jayesh Ranjan, Principal Secretary to the Government of Telangana, Industries and Commerce Department and Information Technology, Electronics and Communications Department. I would request him to please come on stage and enlighten us with his thoughts and on affordable healthcare in India. Is it a distant dream or actually a reality? Please, sir. Hand mic.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Good afternoon to all of you. My congratulations to Dun & Bradstreet for organizing this summit focusing on healthcare and pharma. Are you planning to switch it on? There's a timer. It is showing 45 minutes. I won't be speaking for 45 minutes. If you keep it for maybe 10 minutes, I would imagine. Okay. So, so as I said, congratulations to Dun & Bradstreet for organizing this event and putting it here in Hyderabad. I'm happy to interact with all of you. The session plan also is very relevant. I saw the themes which are getting covered through panel sessions, panel discussions. You are discussing about the usage of technology. You are discussing about supply chain. You are discussing about ESG. Again, these are themes which are very, very important, very relevant from a government point of view also. And I'm happy that industry is sitting together and discussing all these ideas. I'll also share a few brief thoughts on some of these topics which you have already discussed in one of these panels, or you will be covering in one of the subsequent panels. So to start with about technology, now this is again something which is becoming a very important global trend. In fact, I'll just give you a few examples. Some of you may have seen this, that when you drive around Cyberabad, you will come across a large building of Novartis. Now, almost 9,000 people work out of that building. It's a pretty large facility. And when I speak about it outside, typically we go for promotion events. As some of you will be aware, we are setting a new mega industrial park for the pharma industry called the Pharma City, Hyderabad Pharma City. So when we go to other cities to talk about this industrial park, Hyderabad Pharma City, one of the things which I mention is that Novartis employs 9,000 people in Hyderabad. And one automatic question which comes is that what do they manufacture? What drugs, what products are Novartis manufacturing in Hyderabad? And when I tell them that they don't manufacture anything, then that surprises. Then what are these 9,000 people there for? So the answer is that all those 9,000 people are assisting, of course, Novartis's manufacturing, R&D, etc., using digital. Enormous amount of technology application for digital drug discovery, for doing their clinical trials, for managing their CROs, all kinds of bioinformatics, biostatistics, everything which is possible using data, using digital is happening here. Very recently, I mean, not that recently, it happened before pandemic. They have now included in that office a innovation facility, which is called Biome. There are just 3 or 4 of those innovation facilities for Novartis anywhere in the world. The last one they opened also in Asia, incidentally, was in Shanghai. And the 4th one is in Hyderabad in India. So that is the way world is going to move forward. In fact, looking at Novartis's success, there are many other life sciences giants who have set up their digital centers in Hyderabad. Some of you may be aware that few months ago, just about a couple of months ago, BMS, which is again a large American company, Bristol Myers Squibb, they have also set up their digital development center here. Sanofi has a presence here. Roche has a presence here. And there are a few others also with whom they are in active discussions, because they have found the advantage of Hyderabad is that they see a very nice confluence of biology and technology. Because of the decade-old prowess of life sciences here, many of you will know that pharma industry started in this city in 60s, when the then Prime Minister of our country, Prime Minister Nehru, he decided, see, many of you will recall that Prime Minister Nehru's philosophy was that the industrial development should be led by the government. He was enamored with the Soviet model of state-led enterprises, and therefore he replicated that model by setting up large public sector undertakings in different parts of the country. And the pharma sector was located in Hyderabad. There was a company called, I mean, there was, meaning it is still there, not at that scale, but in those days in the 60s, that was the pioneer, called IDPL, Indian Drug and Pharmaceuticals Limited. And then they kind of promoted many other entrepreneurs, some of them who were the staff members in IDPL, to set up their own enterprises and take up their own companies, and some of them have become world beaters today. I don't need to name them, we all know who they are. So this is a city where for decades the pharma, the biotech industry has taken deep roots. There is humongous amount of talent in chemistry, in biology, in life sciences, and over the last 2.5 decades, the city has also developed a strong prowess in technology. So this is the right place to marry biology and technology, where data sciences can converge with life sciences. So that is something which is happening at a very rapid pace the world over. But the point which I wish to mention, I know that Dun & Bradstreet also does events which are targeted at mid-scale companies, small companies, what is called the MSME sector. But in Hyderabad in particular, in Telangana, I would rather say, that I notice a big gulf between the large pharma players and the mid-scale and small players. So when I gave the example of a Novartis or a BMS or a Roche or a Sanofi, these are all global multinationals. Indian large firms also, life sciences companies, are also doing lots of digital work. But as I said, I see a huge gulf between the MSMEs and the large companies in their adoption of digital. Many times, and I have seen this, I've interacted with many of them myself, and what I notice is that it is more of a mindset issue rather than anything else. Many of the owners or founders of these mid-scale companies, small companies, obviously are from a generation where technology was not really that prominent, that visible. And therefore they have grown up with a kind of a belief that only if you have gone to higher education, you have some kind of a comfort with gadgets, devices, you are tech savvy, only then you will be able to master technology. Otherwise it is not for us. And this is a fallacy. In fact, we all know that you don't to be a coder or a programmer yourself to understand what technology is. You should just know the scope of technology, what technology can deliver for you, how can it improve your production, improve your productivity, reduce your cost, improve your efficiencies, and that is good enough. There are enough number of service providers today. And one amazing thing about cities like Hyderabad is that lots of technology breakthroughs are coming from the world of startups also. So it is not to say that unless you have some access to Infosys or TCS, only then you will be able to source your technologies. Technology providers are all over the place. And again, that is an advantage in Hyderabad because our institutions, some of you will be aware of institutions like the T-Hub, etc. We help people to source the right kind of startup in a very, very easy and seamless way. So that is one key message that I would like to share, that if you are serious about long-term continuing in the business, earning good revenues out of what you do, you just cannot ignore or avoid getting into technology. And whatever generation you are from, whatever is your educational background, whatever is the scale of your operations, there are easily available and easily affordable technology providers who are there in Hyderabad. So that is one point which I would also like to mention this from our side. And as a government, I personally feel that this is the biggest support that we can provide. See, there are a large number of MSMEs who keep interacting with us as a government with the demand or request or expectation of this subsidy, that grant, this financial benefit, which is all fine. I mean, I'm happy to provide those grants and all that. But a bigger thing to get from the government would be get access to good technology which will advance your business in a long-term way. So I have spoken on other occasions also, and I have mentioned this very clearly, that let us shed this mindset of subsidies, grants, etc., and focus more whether we can get the best possible technology at an affordable and accessible way which can advance our business. So I'll be happy to interact with anyone on this point at any point in time also. The other theme which you are again discussing is equally important, which is ESG. Typically, as many of us know this, the pharma industry, the healthcare industry, the public perception about this industry is not very positive. In fact, there is a very strong, deeply entrenched belief that pharma industry destroys the environment, destroys the groundwater, causes pollution, people develop diseases because of the pharma industry and so on. And I'm not saying that these are all far-fetched beliefs. There could be some truth. But science has advanced quite a lot. I mean, when pharma industry started in 60s, the knowledge about pollution control, pollution remediation was limited. But in the last 6-7 decades, this subject has witnessed lots of important breakthroughs. Now, some of the companies, pharma companies, which use very intensive chemicals, which are hazardous, which are harmful, have also found amazing technologies to absolutely reduce the pollution to zero through ZLDs, through other kind of technologies where air pollution is controlled, discharges are controlled, discharges are treated. Everything that is treated is also reused, recycled. So advancement of knowledge is pretty high, but the public perception remains like this. In fact, I mentioned a while ago about the new industrial park that we are setting up called the Hyderabad Pharma City. We have been working on it for almost 5+ years now, but we have still not been able to make it a reality. Of course, we are literally at the last stages. It is only a matter of few months before we launch the Pharma City. But the reason, one of the reasons why it has taken so long is the public perception about pollution and the great pushback that we face from communities. And it has taken lots of efforts to convince the community also. And therefore, ESG in that aspect becomes very, very important. First of all, how do you ensure that we cause no damage? But not only do we cause no damage, how do you on the other hand show that we are responsible, we are caring, we take care of our environment, we have good governance practices, we are inclusive, we care for the community. So again, this is something which I would like the industry to really take up as a mission. And as a government, we will be extremely supportive if any ESG measures are taken by the industry as a whole. In the new Pharma City also that we are setting up, we have created a set of practices which are non-negotiable. So for example, in terms of usage of energy, we are very clear that even if it is going to cost more, only clean energy sources will be allowed. That is gas and steam. There will be no coal-fired boilers at all. So everything will be run either on gas or on steam. About discharges and all, I already told that the state-of-the-art pollution control, effluent treatment technologies will be used, which the government will put. I don't want to leave it to chance whether you will do it or you will evade it. So therefore, we will put everything by ourselves. And various other things, the green belt, the pollution monitoring equipment, and so on and so forth. So best in the class equipment will be put there. But we also want individual units there to take responsibility. So as some of you would know who are from the industry, one of the important challenges the industry faces is about this AMR, antimicrobial resistance. And how do you ensure that our production processes are such that these kind of AMR phenomena is not witnessed at all? How do you ensure that these kind of infections, these kind of bacterial, microbial resistances don't develop as a part of our manufacturing process itself? So we are collaborating with a few global partners also who will be working with us in providing these kind of things. But regardless of it, ESG is a very important component, and we want industry to take the lead. And the government, if you take one step forward, we will be willing to take you 4 steps further. So that is the commitment we want to give to ESG. And another panel that you are speaking about is again something which is very important, which is on supply chain. And particularly during COVID times, we saw how challenging this can be. As you know, Hyderabad is a very important manufacturing hub for the pharmaceutical and the biotechnology industries. 40% of countries' pharma products are manufactured here. 1/3 of world's vaccines are manufactured here, and lots of components do come from outside. We don't have self-sufficiency in many of these the key components, the key chemicals, APIs, and so on and so forth. And during COVID times, you will recall COVID started in China, particularly very close to the location where the industrial belt for key chemicals and APIs, etc. are located, very close to Wuhan, from where this pandemic began. And there was a risk, because the ports and all in China were shut, there was a risk that almost 90% of the Hyderabad-based manufacturers will run out of raw materials in a matter of few weeks. And it is only a matter of luck, nothing else, that just in time shipping and port activities became normal in China, and things began to come back to our manufacturers. Of course, cost has gone up quite heavily, and today people believe that the pharma industry is minting money because of this COVID and all that. The reality is that because of high input costs, high cost of logistics, shipping, the profits are very, very meager. I mean, they would have done much better in a regular year than in COVID years. And this is the reason. So supply chain has become very important. You will be aware that under this Atmanirbhar Bharat campaign, the KCMs and APIs are given importance as a part of the self-sufficient India, Atmanirbhar India. The pharma sector also has been encouraged to set up indigenous manufacturing facilities. Government of India schemes have been announced for about 38 or 36 components, KCMs and APIs. If anyone manufactures them indigenously, you will be given production-linked incentives, etc. Dedicated industrial parks have been announced. We have not benefited from that scheme of Government of India about dedicated industrial park, but the new pharma city that I spoke about, we ourselves want to promote indigenous manufacturing of some of these components which were imported hitherto, and ensure that the entire supply chain comes literally within our backyard. So that will be a very good example for the whole country to emulate what we'll be doing in our pharma city. But definitely it's a concern for this industry. If another pandemic happens or any other challenge happens, it is not just the pandemic. We also know about the geopolitical dynamics which is happening between China, America, Ukraine, Russia, and so on and so forth. So there are uncertainties ahead, and the earlier we set up our supply chain systems indigenously, the better we will be. And as I said, this is again something which is a very important priority for us. So these are some of the thoughts which I wanted to share with you. And I'm again thankful for DNB to have invited experts to share their own perspectives, guide the rest of the industry. I'll be happy to. I know that typically at the end of every such event, you bring out a report, bring out a publication. So please do share that with me. I'll be happy to look at the recommendations, good ideas, and make all that a part of our own policy, our own approach here in Telangana. So once again, thank you very much for inviting me. Have a wonderful rest of the sessions ahead. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. Can I request you to just be on stage with us for a couple of minutes so that we can launch the publication? And for that, I would also like to call upon Mr. Vipul Oberoi and Dr. Arun Singh on stage to launch the first ever edition of India's Leading Healthcare and Pharma Companies 2023. Mr. Vipul Oberoi to hand over the memento to him. A huge round of applause.